Hey, what's up, everybody? So it's time for another guide, and since King of Kings is finally dropped, it's time to do one for the Middle East, and that means Qoyunlu. Now, I did Kara Qoyunlu over a year ago by now, and I always thought I'd come back to do Qoyunlu, and then I thought I did, and I completely forgot. So, yeah, we're starting off here, because I should have covered them a long time ago. Now, first things first is, of course, going to be the estates and privileges. For the most part, this is stuff that you've seen me take before, so I'm just going to drag across what I've taken so you can see what I've done. If you have questions, you can always leave me a comment, and I'll tell you why I took something in particular, but generally speaking, Monarch point generation is by far the most important thing in this game. Loyalty generators, this gives me more tax income, and since since your economy sucks as Qoyunlu, is more than half your income, it is pretty important to give as much of that as you can. And then down here we have higher Dhimmi taxes, because, again, tax is nice. You also have Dhimmi autonomy, which means you can't convert them, but they won't cost you anything to have a non-Muslim province. And then, of course, protected Dhimmi communities for increased religious unity even over 100%, which is still very nice to have. You start off with a couple of Coptic provinces, and while you could try and convert these, you can only convert one at the start, and it's still going to take about 10 years to do it. It's just not worth the investment with your economy the way it is right now. It's better to spend that money on actual conquest. And as you can see, there are still other provinces up here that you're going to be going for. So why do that? You'll have plenty of Shia provinces to convert, and later on, once you control the trade nodes up here, you can then use them to convert these provinces, because you'll just be able to revert this at that time. The only other one I really wanted to talk about is the inviting a local scholar. Now, you start off with admin tech reduction, which is okay, kind of, but there are better ones in here, and the one that I usually invite at the start of the game is the Jafari. The reason why is this extra shock damage is pretty useful for Qoyunlu. You have a mission to get good cavalry. You have ideas that will give you good cavalry. And if you look, cavalry benefit the most from increased shock. So having extra shock being dealt to people, since you should have some decent amount of cavalry, especially since you can build some here for free, yeah, you should be going towards doing as much shock damage as you can, but you can also go for negative shock damage received. I don't think aggressive expansion impact is useful at the start of the game, nor development cost, but do what you feel like doing. This is just what I prefer to do because I'm going to be fighting people, and I want to have that edge. It's up to you if you choose to do it. With that being said, let's now turn to the rest of the setup for Qoyunlu. Now, before I turn to diplomacy or army composition or anything like that, let's look at the missions. The first mission that you really want to focus on is Rally the Turkomans. You can't do Tame the Eagle before you unpause the game, because that requires you to conquer Hisn Kaifa. Rally the Turkomans, however, just requires you to get a general, and then to have basically 10,000 men in the field. The other ones, sure, you can do by waiting, but why? So instead, just simply hire the free company, and you'll meet the second requirement, and for your general, make your starting ruler a general. If they are garbage, you can hire one, but you're not necessarily going to need one in the first month or so. The reason why you're hiring your ruler is your starting ruler sucks. 232, that's always consistent. This trait is going to be random every time, but this guy is always consistent. A 456 with land leader shock. This guy's really, really good, and you want him on the throne as fast as possible, so making your starting ruler a general kind of shoves him into the grave. A little bit faster, hopefully. Now, once that's done, let's talk about your rivals. Now, I have restarted this about 30 some odd times, and in that time period, every single time George has been a rival, every single time Hisn Kaifa has been a rival. The one that is different is either it's going to be Trebizond or Dulkadir. Those two, either one or the other, was there about half the time for 29 of those times. The only other one, it was Kara Qoyunlu. So Kara Qoyunlu can be a starting rival, but generally isn't going to be. Here's the thing. As you can see, Hisn Kaifa's not on the list. If Trebizond doesn't start off rival to you, they won't be on the list. So just rival back who you have available here. Don't rival Dulkadir if they didn't rival you. Obviously, you can't rival Trebizond if they don't rival you, because it's not really going to matter that much. Now that that's done, your setup is basically complete when it comes to rivals and your army. Let's now talk about diplomacy. You have 3 starting diplomats, so you have some moves you can make early on. The first person you're going to get on your side is the Ottomans. They will not ally you at the start of the game. No matter what I do, I can't get them to ally me. But they will royal marry you. So will the Great Horde, and Ajam will ally you. Now, I have a mission in here where if I get 2 allies, I get extra diplomatic reputation, which will make this easier. But as you can see, the Ottomans should be willing to ally you fairly early. If they are not, you will have to improve relations a bit and scornfully insult one of their rivals. In this case, because they are mad at the Mamluks and they are rival to them, since I am being threatened by them, they are willing to ally me. They will usually be rival to the Mamluks, but if they're not, just scornfully insult somebody, improve with them for a few months, they should be willing to ally you without any difficulty. The other person you're going to pick up as an ally is Shirvan, because Shirvan will help you fight Georgia. That's simple. So I'm now going to simply wait until I get my diplomats back, which, let's speed up. And then pick up Shirvan, and then as soon as I can, I will pick up the Ottomans and the Great Horde as allies, and I'll be good to go. As you can see, I'm now done with Rally the Turkomans, but I'm not going to declare until I have these guys done. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to fight Hisn Kaifa, but I do want to show you this interaction real quick. So you have 3 options with this, and you get tribal allegiance by scornfully insulting, or sorry, not scornfully insulting, humiliating your rivals. You get 50 for humiliating somebody, but you also get 3 times whatever the prestige you get from battles. So if you have an idea from your idea sets that increases the prestige from battles, I don't remember which one it is, it will make it so you have more of this tribal allegiance popping up, so you can use more of these clicks. But you can either get a general with 40 army tradition, which can give you a decent general or not. You have extra cavalry combat ability, which is still nice when you combine it with this, because it will give you the ability to get there without as much investment. But also in general, you're going to have decent cavalry because your idea set is weighted towards you building cavalry. And then finally, you have the last one here, which seems like the worst one of the bunch. It gives you 6 cavalry units for no cost, but it's still 6 cavalry. Most people don't have that much cavalry love. If you take this, they will spawn in your capital, and you can cancel them, and you will get manpower. So if you have that, use it. If you're fighting rebels, that still gives you prestige for those fights, giving you tribal authority, so you can get the manpower back from having to fight the rebels. So playing one of these tribal governments is a lot more lenient towards having to constantly fight rebels. Just keep that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and unpause it, get my allies straightened out, and then I'm going to focus on taking out Hisn Kaifa. I just got to wait until I get... because I can't ally people once I'm at war. Now, Hisn Kaifa, as you can see, they don't have an ally. The allies they typically will get will be Beapis, Mazandran, Baby Gilan, usually somebody small. If Qoyunlu rivals you, they may ally Hisn Kaifa because they will both be rivaled to you. Georgia tends not to because they're a different religious group, but this might become an alliance. So just be aware of that. If that happens, you're going to have to fight Qoyunlu, and if you have to restart, you have to restart. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take these guys out. This is a full fort, so you will need all of these guys in order to handle this, but you should be fine. And again, if you don't like this general, you can replace him. So I'm going to pause the recording because forts can take forever in this game. But during this war, you need to take your diplomats and you need to curry favors with Shirvan, not there, hang on, with the Great Horde, and then with Ajam. These are your 3 primary guys you're going to need for your next war. The Ottomans can be helpful, but they're not the most important. So with that being said, I will see you guys in just a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So as you can see, Hisn Kaifa is now fully occupied, and it's time to peace out. Now, this only happens in my game about a third of the time, but as you can see, they got attacked by somebody. Now, if you want to have a really easy game, you can just make him a vassal, because this will make that a defensive war, and you'll be able to call in the Ottomans, the Great Horde, and Ajam to just dumpster all over Qoyunlu. You can absolutely do that. I'm not going to do that because, again, it's only about a third of the time, and I can't seem to get them to do it consistently. So instead, I'm just going to annex Qoyunlu, or not Qoyunlu, Hisn Kaifa, completing this mission up here, and if you did vassalize them, this also gets completed up there. So I can then move forward with the guide as if that did not happen. So obviously, if you have that opportunity, go for it, but it's up to you. Obviously, core it up, destroy the fort. This fort does nothing for you at all. Get rid of it. Having Hisn Kaifa as a vassal, other than dragging Qoyunlu into a war, doesn't do anything for you. So let it go. Now that that's done, I'm going to move my men up here towards Trebizond, and I'm going to continue getting curried favors, because I need to get Shirvan at least to 10, and hopefully Ajam pretty close behind, because I'm going after Georgia. So I'm going to go ahead and deal with that. I will see you guys in a little bit, because I need to wait until these guys get caught up. See you guys in a second. And welcome back, everybody. So now here's the thing. Georgia and Trebizond, they're allies. Pretty much without fail, every single time. But you do have a choice about who you're attacking, simply because it is possible for Georgia to get other allies, such as Circassia or people you don't want to fight. Trebizond, on the other hand, very rarely does. They will usually just be able to get Theodoro as an ally. In that case, you do have the choice of who you go after. Try and go after Georgia if you can. If Qoyunlu warns you, they do border them, and that can prevent you from doing so if they are not rivaled to them. So, if you can, attack Georgia. Call people in against Georgia. You'll also get Trebizond in that fight. Theodoro won't come in here, but that's fine. This is your goal. You're going after this land. Trebizond is a bonus. If you can't do this, go after Trebizond and take the coast. The only reason why you won't be able to do that is if Qoyunlu warns you and they are not rivaled. So just keep that in mind. Calling these two guys in, I will eventually bring in the Great Horde once I have 10 favors, if I need them, but you generally won't, and I'm making Guria here the target. So let's go. And do be aware that Qoyunlu may attack them as well. So try and get these guys taken out, and then get on this land as quickly as you can to deny them that land, because if you can't make it up here, you're not taking anything. So focus down Trebizond, get their army off the map, and then focus all of this stuff to at least be occupied. So I will do that, and I will see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So as you can see, war's over. First, peace out Trebizond. Obviously, you don't want to be able to miss out on taking that. And then, if you attacked Georgia, you have enough war score to take every single one of their provinces. If Shirvan is not rival to Georgia, they usually don't want any of their land. And if nobody else attacks Georgia, and it comes to you, you can get all of it. Just all in one war. And I do recommend taking every single thing you can, because you desperately need more land. And as you can see, nobody cares. You are attacking Orthodox nations when they are completely isolated. No one's going to care. This is why early on taking the extra Hanafi, or whatever it is, Hanbali, it doesn't really matter. And then the next person you're planning on attacking is a Shia country, Qoyunlu, so no one's going to care. So don't be too afraid of taking massive swaths of territory right now for aggressive expansion reasons, because it's not going to matter. With that being said, though, you do need to keep up and keep taking your land whenever you can. In this case, I mean, I can power through that. Alright, I'll figure out what diet mission to take, but I'm going to keep seizing land. I'm going to core everything up. It's going to be my land, and I'm going to keep moving down this mission tree, and that means the next target I'm going for is Qoyunlu. Obviously, I have already said that. And you have 3 allies that will usually help you without any hesitation, and then the Ottomans, who you might have to catch on a good day. But as long as you are currying favors with them, you should be able to keep up with that pretty quickly, and get favors with the Ottomans fairly quickly as well. The other thing I will say for now, because it's going to be a bit before I attack anybody again, is keep an eye on Syria. Once Syria's off the map, you can bring them back. Raqqa here is a Syrian province with a Syrian core, meaning you can use that to get any Syrian provinces out of the Ottomans with favors, but you can also use that as a justification to attack the Mamluks and bring them in. Meaning you will be dictating the peace terms, and as long as you don't take the red provinces, they're fine with it. So just take the provinces that are Syrian, that are not vital interest land for the Ottomans, and block the Ottomans off from any expansion, and they should still be chill with it until they get these red provinces. So just don't let them have anything until you are done expanding. That is the main port of what you're going to be doing. But for now, let me go ahead and just do this, but I will see you guys in a little bit. Hey everybody, so it's time to give away another CD key, and for this week I'm giving away a copy of Rebel Incorporated Escalation. If you want a copy of this game, just comment below and include the word escalation somewhere in your comment. And at the end of the week, I'll go through and I'll pick one of those comments at random and reply to it with a CD key. Now, obviously, anybody can see my comments, so be sure to turn on your notifications, because otherwise, if somebody else sees my comment with the CD key in it first, and they enter it into their Steam account, it's their game, not yours. With that being said, let's get back to the guide. Welcome back, everybody. So as I said, I restarted this a number of times, and this is something that I've seen happen not consistently, but quite often. The Ottomans will get into a massive war, and I mean massive, and they will be throwing down hard, meaning they're probably not going to have a bunch of troops to help you with Qoyunlu early on, which is why you have your coalition of the willing over here. Just be aware of that. So at this point in time, don't expect the Ottomans to be doing that well. I will also point out, because this is the first time I've seen this because of Latin Empire, that if you look at this, you'll see like Kingdom of Hungary, Duchy of Milan. Because it's called Latin Empire, though, it's the Empire of Latin Empire, which hurts my brain. So with that being said, I'm going to go after Qoyunlu because they're after a couple of little guys, which will make it a little bit easier for me to attack them anyway. And as you can see, we do have the advantage, so I'm going after them without the Ottomans. So just keep that in mind. You might not be able to fully rely on the Ottomans early on, but once they recover their manpower, they should come back with a vengeance. Just by that time, they're going to be focusing on the Mamluks, so you need to be ready for that too. With that being said, see you guys soon. And welcome back, everybody. So as you can see, the war is over. I'm going to take this land in the north, including Tabriz. I'm taking these two provinces in the south, war reparations, and then whatever money is left. And still no real coalition. It's just not going to fire because they all have truces with me. Since I took these two provinces in the south, I can now come in here and release Iraq. And yes, I will give a piss and kaifa for that, but that's still fine. And then I will give them this province here so I don't have to core it. The other stuff, there's no real vassal up here that's really worth handing it over to. So instead of doing that, I'm simply going to just core it all up myself and use that to go forward. Doing this does give you a bunch of land because, well, you're taking a bunch of land. So this will help you keep your crown land a little bit higher. Your economy is still going to suck. It is just absolutely going to suck. So make sure you're keeping it from becoming too problematic by keeping your maintenance down when you can. But generally speaking, just don't have extra forts. Like I have a fort here already. So having one right next door, not really that important. So I will absolutely delete this one. And then the one down here, I'm considering on deleting this one. So I will look at that in a bit and let you know. But otherwise, that is what you're doing. Now, Syria is finally being integrated. It is kind of a coin toss on whether the Mamluks get rid of them or Fadl first. In this case, they got rid of Fadl, so I have to wait for Syria to be taken out, and then I can go after that. And I have plenty of time because, as you can see, the Ottomans did not take Constantinople in this universe. So, I have time. Either way, I'm going to keep moving forward with that. And it looks like Circassia is being taken out, so I might break the alliance with Shirvan, because they would be the next easy expansion into, as well as Armadil. So I'm going to be looking at that. I'll see you guys in just a little bit. And welcome back. So Now that I have a core on Trebizond, I am able to complete this mission, The Last of the Romans. This will give you this event, and quite simply, you either get rid of the Pontic culture as well as the Orthodox religion in the province for 50 admin power as well as a bunch of separatists, or you get the Pontic culture as an accepted culture, which takes up a slot, but you also get some obvious benefits to that province. I don't see the benefit of keeping them around, personally, so I'm going to fight them. This is a mountain province with a fort, so you do what you want to do, but I don't see the value of keeping this as a Pontic Orthodox province, so just keep that in mind. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and continue. Oh, and I did fight a war because Armadil ended up allying Qoyunlu, so I fought them to reset my truce timer, annex them, release them as a vassal, and use favors to get Astara away from Ajam, and I'm going to then get the other provinces that they have through favors as well. So I'm just going to slowly start moving my way to the east while I'm waiting for Syria to be taken out so I can start moving to the south. With that being said, see you guys soon. So I forgot to talk about this when the event popped up. I just clicked through it, not thinking. And once you own Tabriz, it is in a full state, fully cored. You will have an event that pops up that lets you move your capital. It'll cost 100 admin points, give you 1 of each development point. It'll give you 20% off the development cost for 10 years, I think it is, and a little bit of prestige growth. The other option is to leave your capital over here, but you get 50 admin points. I recommend you move your capital. While 50 admin points is better than losing 100, you also move your capital and make it so this province is now 0% autonomy, and it will convert the religion in the province for you. This is a silk province, which means it's worth it, and you have a lot of autonomy there once you conquer it, which means dropping this immediately to 0, very nice to have, and that will boost your economy up quite substantially. Is it enough to be like a gold mine? No, but it will help you out quite a bit. So if you have the ability to make Tabriz into a full core and move your capital, I recommend doing so. With that being said, I'm still waiting on my truce here to end, and then I'm looking at Syria still. So I'm doing that. And Shirvan, I'm about to break the alliance with. The thing is that they allied the Ottomans. So until I have the Ottomans in a different war, they're not going to matter anyway, so I'm just sitting with them and seeing what I can do. So I will see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back. So as you can see, truce timer expired on Qoyunlu. I'm handing back as much of the Iraqi cores down here as I can just so I can start getting into Mushasha, though they are still allied to Qoyunlu. And I'm taking Ilam and this stuff right here to block Ajam off from trying to get anything of theirs as well. I'm simply going to take them out, and then once I have Ilam, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to release Luristan. The reason why is that they also have cores all over here, including on Mushasha. So I'll be using favors to get all of this from Ajam as well. If Ajam's been taken out, you can do the exact same thing that I've been doing, because it would likely be the Timurids that destroyed them, and use that to reconquer land from them if you want to, or in half my games, Ajam is completely wiped out, so you can get one province and then feed all of Ajam back to Ajam. In this case, however, this will do just fine. I'm coring up a couple of provinces, so I'm not falling too far behind on admin, and I'm using vassals to expand. So I am able to seize land again. Nice. And as you can tell, I am losing crown land because I am selling crown land so I can pay off my debts before. Now, since I have this being my capital, making the however many ducats I'm getting out of silk, that's keeping my economy afloat. And I'm slowly getting powerful, so I'm going to be able to take out the Mamluks with the Ottomans' help soon. But I'm going to have to wait for that, so I'll see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So it took quite a while, because the Ottomans were obviously having a very tough start, but I finally have made it so they are willing to come in. It just took, maximum trust and everything else, so hopefully you don't have the same problems in your game. But either way, it is now time to go after them, and as you can see, it shouldn't be much of a fair fight. So I'm going to go after them, and I'm going to make probably Damascus the Wargle, and I don't anticipate them actually being that much of a problem. I do need to hire cannons, I just realized that, because I just teched up. I will point out that you are in a bad place in terms of Renaissance. It's going to take forever to get to you. It'll likely get to the Mamluks first, which is why it took so long in part, because I didn't want to attack the Mamluks when I was behind in tech. So make sure you're paying attention to that, because the last thing you need is for you to be in a major war like this and being behind in tech and being completely unable to ever catch back up. With that being said, I'm going to fight this, because this is probably going to suck, but it has to be done. And as you can see, Ajam is moving to the east slowly. They are fine with me still. They keep trying to like hate me for taking their land from them, but then they get over it and they keep moving to the east. So I just keep taking their land from them when I can. But I'll see you guys soon. I'll give you guys 3 guesses what happened in that war, considering the fact I have now blitzed my way through to right here. Now, for those of you who did not watch my Ajam campaign, basically you can keep your alliance with the Ottomans so long as you do not take anything in red. And this is what they wanted before I peaced out. So I made sure I took everything that was not in red. These 2 provinces I didn't bother with, so I can make it sure over here. But by doing this, you are blocking the Ottomans off from any expansion into the Mamluks other than right here. Now, while they can take this land if they attack, and then that will make this stuff red, meaning they will then break their alliance with you, if you keep attacking the Mamluks and calling the Ottomans in, you'll be able to dictate whether or not the Ottomans can actually do that. Because if they're not the war leader, they don't get to decide the peace treaty unless they peace out separately. So just peace out before they do. That's all you need to do. By doing that, you'll be able to expand all throughout Arabia, all throughout Egypt, and then use all of that as a foothold to then take on the Ottomans. And yeah, it does suck because that does delay you getting through this mission and then down to here, because this allows you to hire Janissaries. Obviously, you would like to have Janissaries, but it isn't the end of the world. You just need to make sure you get through this before you finish the rest of your missions. And the rest of your missions, as you can see here, are basically pushing to the east. So this is useful, but your goal is to push into Persia. Because once you've pushed into Persia, you can get down here, and eventually you will just become Persia. One of these, I don't remember which one it is. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, I was looking right at it earlier, and yes, this just gives you the decision to be able to form Persia, and that's what you're trying to go for. So as long as you do this while you're waiting for truce timers over here, you'll be able to take out all of Egypt, and then you'll be able to turn on the Ottomans, because they won't be able to stand against you. At this point, we're about at parity. By the time I'm over here, I'll be able to turn around, take out the Ottomans, and do whatever I want. And then you can either form Rum, or you can form Persia with Janissaries. Your call, which it happens to be. So there is one more thing I really wanted to talk about. It's very brief, but it will take me just a little bit longer. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Welcome back, everybody. So it's been about 4 hours of an Iron Man game trying to get to the point where I can show you this last thing before I wrap up this guide, and I realized that's taking a bit long since I was only about halfway there. So I just brought up this non-Iron Man game to just show you this. Now, basically, once you get to this point, the Turco-Persian architecture, it gives you the ability to grant a burgher privilege that you wouldn't have before, called the Great Works of Iran. This doesn't really tell you what it does, but it does tell you that you can get a development cost reduction on the provinces in Iran based on their terrain type. So I just wanted to explain what that is. So you have grasslands, there's no penalty, there's no bonus. Drylands, on the other hand, has a 5% development cost penalty. This makes it so it has none. Mountains are 35%. This drops that by 15, making it easier for you to develop mountains. And then you have deserts, which are 50%, which is just astonishingly bad. This makes it so it's only 30%. So it's not great, but it's not quite as bad as it used to be, allowing you to play taller in Iran simply because you're not wasting it on this already bad terrain type. So it doesn't fix it entirely, but it makes it a lot easier. So I just wanted to point out, if you can get down there, do try to get there, especially if you're playing very tall in a multiplayer game or just wanting to play a taller game as Qoyunlu, because if you don't, there's a problem. Now, before I sign off, though, I did realize in the 4 hours of playing that I made a mistake and that I misspoke about something, and I wanted to clear the air about those two things, because I don't like bad information being out there, especially if it's from me. The first thing I got wrong is tribal allegiance. You do not get this from fighting rebels. You have to fight actual tags. I must have saw a battle with the rebels and an actual tag and didn't realize it came from the normal battle. Sorry for giving you guys bad information, but on top of that, as you can see here, I'm losing 0.16 per month. You lose it based off the amount of development that you have. So once you actually start expanding, you're not going to have any of these clicks anymore. It's just not going to happen. However, early game, you can use these in order to keep up with your manpower losses fighting rebels just by fighting people around you like Qoyunlu. So having higher cavalry, because they do so much damage for less manpower cost, can pay off. Just be aware you're going to still have the economy problem from earlier. The other thing I kind of misspoke about that I just want to make sure nobody makes this mistake and hurts themselves in the process. I was talking about the Janissaries that you get from this mission right here. And you can absolutely get them by taking out the Ottomans. Here's the thing. I then brought up that you can form the Sultanate of Rum, or you can form Persia, and you can have your Janissaries. You can form Persia and have Janissaries, but what happens with this mission is that it changes your first government reform to allow you to have Janissaries. When you form Persia, on the other hand, you will no longer have that. It will change your first government reform and remove your Janissary building ability. But if you already have them, it doesn't delete them. So as long as you make sure you build every single Janissary you possibly can before you flip, you get to keep them as long as they don't get stack wiped, merged, or anything else goes wrong with them. So make sure you do that. The other option is to form the Sultanate of Rum. If you notice, it's not on my list anymore. It's because you lose it once you get this mission done. Why? Don't know. Don't know at all. I think it's because you merge all the cultures together and it takes you out of the correct culture for over here, but don't know. So just make sure if you're going to form the Sultanate of Rum, you do not click this mission, because you will not be able to do so. But that's all you guys really need to know. Qoyunlu is incredibly fun. It's pretty straightforward. As long as you are stomping on rebels and you're timing your wars correctly, it's really hard to not get this right. The only thing that I've had a problem with is the Ottomans dropping the ball so hard like they did in this game, where they just getting stomped by the Latin Empire. They lost 3 wars in total. So it can happen. If it does, just be prepared to wait to attack the Mamluks, because they will eventually drop the ball themselves, and you'll be able to swoop in and block them off and then just start whittling them down. Let me load up my normal game so I can show you where I got to. And here's the Iron Man game. I'll keep this very brief because I know this guide has gone on for a while. Use vassals to reconquer cores. In Iran at this point, you're in a melee. You have Ajam, Timurids, and Timurids vassals. And it doesn't matter who wins the melee. Whoever comes out on top is going to be filled with cores that other people are able to reconquer just by releasing that tag. So just as an example, Khorasan was one province. I conquered the rest of it just by getting them to become a Diplo vassal. The other instance is going after, say, Transoxiana here, conquering this one province, releasing Khiva, and that's half their land. That I don't have to take full aggressive expansion for just because I'm using Khiva, and then you get the advantage of normal vassal play on top of that. So this is simply an easy way to do this without having to deal with the coalitions. But whether you choose to direct conquer things or through vassals is completely up to you. As I said before, Qoyunlu is pretty straightforward. It's more about timing, but it's still pretty fun to play, especially going through this mission tree. The abilities that you can get, like Janissaries, is pretty strong, and you guys should have tons of fun. But thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day.